Greetings to our dear family. May peace be upon us all. Today, we bring you the popular 2021 film, Girl in the Basement. Please like the video to support us. Now, let's delve into the movie. The film commences with a tense scene in the dead of night. Sarah and her father, Don, are in a race against time to get Marie to the hospital. As Marie gasps for breath in the back seat of the car, Sarah implores her father to drive faster. Upon arrival at the hospital, Don carries Marie inside, instructing Sarah to remain silent about the situation. The medical staff swiftly take Marie away, leaving Sarah and Don anxiously waiting in the hallway. The narrative then takes us back 20 years to a family dinner. Sarah Cody announces to her father that she'll be late home due to a party. This revelation catches Don off guard, leading him to confront his wife, Irene. Irene confesses that she had intended to inform him but hadn't found the opportunity. In response, Don forbids Sarah from attending the party and sends her to her room. Later that night, Sarah escapes from the house to meet her boyfriend, Chris, who is waiting for her outside. They ride off together on Chris's motorcycle. Back at home, Irene knocks on Sarah's door, hoping to engage her in conversation. As Irene persistently knocks, Don's patience wears thin. He begins to pound on the door, demanding Sarah to open up. Irene suggests that Sarah might be seeking some solitude, but Don dismisses her suggestion and forces the door open. To their astonishment, they discover Sarah's bed vacant and the window ajar. Disappointed, Don reproaches Sarah for causing trouble before exiting her room. Simultaneously at an outdoor soiree, Sarah and Chris are engrossed in their own world, dancing and enjoying themselves. Back home, Don is stewing in his anger, repeatedly glancing out of the window in anticipation of Sarah's return. The next morning, as Sarah makes her way home, Don is waiting for her on the porch. He observes her bidding Chris goodbye with a kiss. He notices Sarah approaching the house, but not towards the front door. Don insists that she enter through the front door like everyone else, reminding her that she can't make her own rules. Unfazed by her father's words, Sarah attempts to sidestep him, but Don blocks her way, insisting on a conversation. He probes her about her relationship with Chris, but Sarah retorts, telling him it's none of his business. When Don questions whether her parents have permitted her to date motorcyclists, Sarah's anger flares. She threatens to move out as soon as she turns 18 and warns him that he'll never see her again. At this moment, her mother appears, descending the stairs to investigate the ruckus. Sarah breaks away from her father and storms upstairs. Her mother follows her into her room, grounding her for a week. Frustrated, Sarah reiterates her plan to leave as soon as she turns 18. Outside her room, her father eavesdrops on their conversation. Sarah expresses her desire to travel the world to her mother, starting her journey in Florida. Her mother supports her, but warns her to be careful. Don, overwhelmed by the news, retreats to the basement to ponder the situation. He then moves towards the bookshelf and pushes it aside, revealing a hidden door that leads to a secret room. 3 months later, after finishing school, Sarah calls Chris to discuss her future plans. When Irene questions where her father is, she is told that he is outside. Her mother reassures Irene that it's good for him, expressing her worry about his frequent visits to the basement. Irene leaves the room. Taking advantage of his wife's absence, Don asks Sarah to end her call and help him. Sarah apologizes to Chris and hangs up the phone. She then helps her father move a large box towards the basement. Don shifts the bookshelf, revealing the secret room, surprising Sarah. She asks about the purpose of the room, and Don explains that it was initially a bomb shelter built by the previous owner, which he later upgraded. After placing the box inside the shelter, Don asks Sarah for her opinion on the room. She expresses her dislike due to the absence of windows, to which Don responds dismissively. Before he locks her in, Sarah bangs on the door, begging her father to let her out. He ignores her pleas and leaves. Terrified, Sarah surveys the room, which contains only a sink and a shower. She opens the box they brought in, finding her clothes and personal items inside. As her father moves the bookshelf back in place, concealing the secret door, she cries out for help again. After 3 unsuccessful attempts to guess the door's security code, the lights go out. Sarah finds herself compelled to use the flashlight from her box as darkness descends. Irene grows increasingly worried about Sarah's absence. Amy offers the possibility that Sarah might be at a friend's house, but Irene, still concerned, resolves to call the police. Dawn tries to reassure Irene, suggesting that Sarah will likely return home by the next morning. However, Irene remains determined to involve the police. As she leaves the room, she instructs Amy to reach out to Chris, with Dawn feigning ignorance all the while. Days go by, and Sarah remains confined in the shelter. With no activities to occupy her, she spends her time pacing the room or attempting to unlock the door until the lights go out. On the 4th day, her father finally pays her a visit. As he enters the shelter, Sarah hides behind a pole, then makes a dash for the door when he's close enough. She finds herself trapped outside the second door, crying out for her mother. Her father coldly informs her that no one will hear her, no matter how loud she screams. He drags Sarah back into the bomb shelter by her hair. Distressed, Sarah confronts her father about his harsh treatment. He replies that this is the result of her impertinence, and from now on she will have to earn everything. He asks if she understands his message. Meanwhile, Irene is talking to a police officer, expressing her concern about Sarah's unusual disappearance. The officer explains that since Sarah is 18, she is free to go wherever she wants. He asks if Sarah could possibly be at a friend's house. Irene, tears streaming down her face, admits that Sarah doesn't have many friends. When the officer asks about a potential boyfriend, Amy reveals that Chris hasn't seen Sarah either. Intrigued by the mention of Chris, the officer requests his number. The officer then informs them that a missing person report has already been filed for the individual in the bomb shelter. As the days go by, Sarah's despair deepens. One day, while Dawn is mowing the lawn, Chris arrives looking for Sarah. He discloses that he was contacted by the police and has something for her. Dawn fabricates a story about Sarah running away with a childhood friend named Steve. Chris, feeling rejected, prepares to leave, while Dawn pretends to be concerned about Chris's feelings. On the 21st day of her captivity, Dawn gives Sarah a foldable chair and a small cake to celebrate her 18th birthday. He also presents her with a red dress and instructs her to wear it. Once she is dressed, Dawn asks her to pick a gift. When she voices her wish to leave, he dismisses it as too soon. When she asks for a television, he insists that she must work for it. So, Sarah asks for a clock instead, which he agrees to. On the 38th day, she gets canned food, which gives her the idea to use the small tin can as a weapon. When her father arrives, Sarah is wearing the red dress. She hides the makeshift weapon behind her back and tries to attack him. However, Dawn is too quick and disarms her easily. He pushes Sarah against the wall, and as she falls to the floor, he kicks her arm harshly. Under the pretense of teaching her a lesson, the cruel man attacks Sarah again. A year passes, and Sarah is now pregnant with Dawn's child. During a routine cleaning day, Sarah's water breaks unexpectedly. Guided by her pregnancy book, she manages to deliver her first baby, a girl named Marie, all by herself. Upon learning about the birth, Dawn suggests that motherhood will bring a sense of purpose to Sarah. From this point, Sarah and Marie begin to share their life in the basement. 4 years into her captivity, Sarah becomes pregnant again. 7 years into her ordeal, she gives birth to their second child. Meanwhile, Chris pays a visit to Sarah's house, hoping for any news about her. He crosses paths with Amy, who is visiting her parents for the weekend. When Amy reveals her lack of contact with Sarah, Chris brings up Steve, which confuses Amy. He explains that her father has been discussing Steve and Sarah, leaving Amy even more bewildered. Sarah falls pregnant for the third time and instructs Marie to cease her singing. She gives birth to her third child, a boy. When asked about the baby's name, she reveals that they've chosen the name Thomas. Sarah proposes that Don take Thomas upstairs, as the basement is too cramped for all of them. She comforts Don, assuring him that this setup will allow her to better care for Thomas. Convinced by Sarah's words, Don leaves Thomas on their porch with a note from Sarah expressing her wish that he will look after their son. Irene, oblivious to the note, discovers the baby and informs Don that the baby is Sarah's. As Irene takes Thomas inside, Don finds and reads the note. After 14 years of confinement in the basement, Sarah finds herself expecting another child. In her 17th year of captivity, she falls pregnant once more. Unfortunately, the baby does not survive, leaving Don with the heartbreaking task of burying the infant at their home. Irene shares her feelings with Thomas, expressing how much she misses Sarah. Thomas, curious about his mother, learns from Irene that Sarah is a remarkable woman. After 20 years of confinement, Sarah's daughter, Marie, suffers a severe asthma attack, gasping for breath. When Don arrives, Sarah implores him to take them to the hospital. At first, Don is reluctant, but Sarah persuades him. Leaving Michael in the basement, they hurry to the hospital, where the doctor informs Sarah and Don that Marie's condition is critical. As Don discusses Marie's medical history with the doctor, Sarah remains quiet, her gaze fixed on the clock. Seeing an opportunity when Don is distracted, Sarah accidentally spills water on Marie's medical records, forcing Don to leave to get a new copy. In his absence, Sarah takes the chance to inform the doctor about their plight, which results in Don's arrest. When Marie wakes up, Sarah assures her that they are finally free. The police manage to rescue Michael from the basement, reuniting the three siblings. As Sarah, Amy, and Irene watch from the porch, Chris appears unexpectedly. Sarah and Chris engage in a heartfelt conversation where Chris apologizes for believing Don's lies and not trying to find her. Sarah confides that she thought of him every day during her 20-year ordeal. Chris presents Sarah with a new helmet, a gift he had planned to give her when he last spoke to Dawn. After 2 long decades, they finally go on a motorcycle ride together. The film ends on this note.